So I think we have completed the passive reconnaissance. Now I will just move into the active reconnaissance. So it was the a polar opposite of the passive. Okay, in that it is required some form of contact with our victim. So active reconnaissance requires you to make some kind of contact with your target. This contact can be phone call or visit to the target company under some pretense to gather more information, usually as part of the social engineering. Okay, the main difference between the active and passive is the contact. Okay, so the web browser. So a web browser can be used to obtain information about a target in a range of methods. On the transport level, the browser connects to TCP port 80 by default when the website is accessed by HTTP, and TCP port 443 by default when the website is accessed over HTTP. So because 80 and 443 are HTTP and HTTPS default ports, the web browser does not display them in the address bar. So however, custom ports can be used to access our service. Example is given here. This is the port and IP address. Okay, so this will establish an HTTPS connection to this local host at port number 8834. We will receive a web page if an HTTP server is listening on that port. And if you are using a Firefox and browser, Google Chrome, one of the best tool within our web browser is undoubtedly inspect. Okay, right click on the website and then inspect, click on inspect. Okay, so there are also numerous Firefox and Chrome add-ons that can add with penetration testing. Some of the examples here it was given, right? Foxy proxy, then a user agent. So Foxy proxy changes the proxy server you are utilizing to reach the target website rapidly. And this browser plugin is useful if you use a tool like Burpsuit or need to swap proxy servers frequently. And user agent switcher and manager, this enables you to pretend to be visiting the web page from a different operating system or web browser. In other words, if we say you can just pretend to be surfing our website on an iPhone while actually accessing it through a Mozilla Firefox. Okay, and then the next one is Webalizer. So this provides information on the technology employed on the websites visited. This type of plugin is usually very much useful, especially when you collect all the information while visiting the websites like any other user. So browse the following website and ensure that you have opened a developer tool on a DirectBox Firefox or browser on your computer. Using the developer tool, figure out the number of the questions. Okay, so we will just inspect this. So how many questions are there? Like one. Okay, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, browse the following website and ensure that you have opened your developer tools on attack box Firefox. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From here, we'll just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Page source, I will just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 total questions. Okay, so the answer for this will be 8. And next one is ping. Okay, so like ping should remind you of the game ping pong, like table tennis. You throw the ball and expect it get it back, right? So this is similar to the ping pong game. The primary objective is to see whether you can reach the remote system and if the remote system can reach you back. Okay, although the intention is to just check the network connectivity, the ultimate objective is to ensure that target machine is online before we spend the time performing more extensive scans to determine the operating system and services are still being used or not. Okay, so in the terminal, you just type this ping and then the domain name. Okay, if you need to ping a specific amount of counts, then the count will be like maintained with -c 10. Okay, a 5. Then here's an example, right? So which option would you use to set the like size of the data carried by the -c sorry ICMP request? So for the like -c for was for the count, right? And for the size, you can just simply write here -s. Okay, I'll just write it here. Then what is the size of the ICMP header in the bytes? So in the ICMP header, you just okay, I will just start the machine. You just write there ping ICMP, okay, and you will just get the like size. Does MS Word, MS Windows firewall block ping by default? Yes, it blocks. And then you have to just deploy the virtual machine for this task and use the attackbox terminal. Issue the command. This is the command. How many ping replies did you get back? Okay. So like here you can just see how many ping replies. So there we are making the 10 count, right? So the reply will be 10. Okay. Okay, and then the trace out. So the intention is to like practically trace the route that packets take from your machine to another host. Its purpose is to determine the IP address of the routers or hops that a packet passes through on its way from your like machine to a target host. It shows the number of routers that connect the two systems, and it also tells how many hops the router there are between your systems and the target host. Okay, so like for the terminal, you just type this command like trace route and then domain name. Okay, so there is no straightforward way to like determine the path from your machine to target system. ICMP is used to trick routers into exposing their IP addresses. It is possible to achieve this by including a short time to live like TTL in the IP header value. Okay, and when a router gets a packet, it decrements the TTL by 1 before forwarding it to the next router. So as you can see here, these are the examples given. Okay, so we'll just move forward in the questions. So in traceroute, what is the IP address of the last router hop before reaching trackme.com? Okay. So in this way, you can just apply the command. Okay. Okay. ICMP. Sorry. Ping. So the ping like it is 8 bytes. Okay. Here. What was the question here? In traceroute A, what is the IP address of the last router hop before reaching trackme.com? This is the IP address. Okay, here you can just see rest is of 192.983. It is 172.67.208. Okay. In this way, you can just make this command work. Okay. We'll just move into telnet. Just try it by yourself. So telnet is like a teletype network. The goal is to communicate with a remote system using a command line interface, CLI. Hence, it employs the like telnet protocol for remote administration. In terms of security, like default port of like telnet is 23. Okay. In the terms of security, telnet transmits all data, including users and passwords, in clear text. So clear text makes it easy for anybody to read, and anyone with will like access to the communication channel, and they can just steal the login credentials. So SSH is the secure protocol. Although it is not a great, but it may be used for various purposes because it is based on the TCP protocol, three-way handshake. Okay, and we can use telnet to connect to any services and retrieve its banner. That is, unless the services uses encryption, we can connect to an TCP based services and exchange a few messages. Okay, just go through the things. And the question is like, start the attack attached VM from task 3. It is not like already started. On the tag box, open the terminal and use a telnet client to connect to VM uh, port. This is what is the name of the running server. This is the command. Okay. Okay, then just I will just write here. Okay, so what was the question, like, what is the name of the running server? The running server is Apache here. Okay, what is the version of the running server on port 80 of the VM? Version here 2.4.10. Okay. Okay, the netcat. So in practice, netcat may be one of the most regularly utilized, as we may want to like use it again and again, and for the reverse shell for the target. Netcat, the syntax is NC. So it can function as a client that connects to a listening port or as a server that listens on the port of your choice. It supports both TCP and UDP protocols. Okay, so methods are like given here. Like netcat, and then the IP address and the port, and then okay, you can just, and this is the like get HTTP file and then host. These are like the options. Okay, so start the VM and open the attack box. Once the attack box load, use a netcat to connect to VM port 21 with the running server 21. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let us give the answer here. Let's get 10 to 41:15 here. Okay, let's get hyphen LBNP 234. Okay, and then again on terminal. Till 21. Okay, you have to like use the virtual machine here. Okay, your virtual machine. And then you have to just ping attack box. So what you do, you just open your Kali Linux, and there you just write this. There you just like check for the like IP address, and then you can just use this command. Okay. So just get this all like brief. Okay, so our next topic is Nmap live host discovery. So this room outlines the process that Nmap takes before like port scanning to find which systems are online. Okay, this stage is critical since attempting to port scan offline systems will merely waste time and create unneeded network noise because it is an active room, right? So the following is the information here given, like ERP scan, ICMP scan, TCMP, TCP, UDP scan. Okay, there will be like two scanners introduced, ARP and mass scan. So here the Nmap, okay. Nmap network mapper, it is a well-known tool for like mapping network and this for locating live host and detecting running services. So Nmap scripting engine can be used to extend its capabilities, such as fingerprinting service and exploiting flaws. And this scan typically follows the steps represented in the image. Okay, enumerate, target, discover, live host. These are the steps. So the question, we'll just move into subnetworks. So let's go through a few concepts before we get started in the primary task. So first one is network segment. So it is a collection of computers linked together through a common medium. In this case, the medium could be Ethernet switch or Wi-Fi access point, physical connection. So the subnetwork, it is usually the equivalent of one or more network segments linked together and then configured to utilize the same router in an IP. It has its own IP address range and it is joined to a larger network using a router and logical connection is made. Okay, so the diagram here, this one illustrates about two types of subnetwork with 16 and subnetworks with 24. Okay, so as part of the reconnaissance, we want to discover more information about a group or host or about a subnet. If you are on the same subnet, you would expect your scanner to be ARP queries to find live host, and ARP query seeks the hardware address in order to enable communication over the link layer. We can assume from this that the host is online. So if you are in network A, you will only use the ARP to discover devices on that subnet. Okay, so the question will just move here, like how many devices you can just see. So click on the view side button. Okay, how many devices can see the ARP request? So you can just see from computer 1 to computer 1. Okay, 1. So these four, computer 1, computer 2, and computer 3. Okay. So the question was, how many devices can see the ARP request? So 3, sorry, 4, including router. Then did computer 6 receive the ARP request? No. And then now again, from computer 4 to computer 4. Okay. How many devices can see the ARP request? Again, 4. Then did computer 6 reply to the ARP request? Yes, it replied, yeah. Then enumerating targets. So we need to identify the targets we want to scan before we conduct an action. Okay. In general, you can provide a list, a range, or a subnet. And the examples are like given list, range, subnet. You can also provide a file as input for your list of targets here. Okay. So if you prefer to see a list of hosts that Nmap will scan, go to this option. Will give you a complete detailed list of the host. Okay. The command is nmap-sl targets. So what is the first IP address Nmap would scan if you provide this as your target? So let me just close this. So what you will just write here, this is the command, right? Nmap, and then you just write the IP address, okay? And for this one, for the full scan, right? -SL targets, okay? Just write it here, and then the target, you just write this IP address and the port, okay? So just move through the next question, like discovering live hosts. So next, let's go over the TCP IP layers illustrated in the image here. We will use the protocols to identify the live host from bottom to top. Okay, like there are ARP, ICMP, TCP, and UDP port. So ARP serves only one purpose: sending a frame to network segments broadcast address, and asking the computer with a certain IP address to respond with its MAC address. Okay, so pinging a system on the same network requires an ARP query before the ICMP echo. So the question is, what is the type of packet that computer 1 sent before the ping? So we have to send from computer 1 to computer 3. Packet type is ping request. So what is the type of packet that computer 1 sent before the ping? So it is ARP request, right? So it will be ARP packet, okay? And then what is the type of packet that computer 1 received before being able to send the ping? So it was ARP response, okay? How many computers responded to the ping request? One. Only one computer, like 3-1. So now from computer 2 to computer 5, two to 5. What is the name of the first device that responded to the ARP packet? Computer 2, right? Sorry, but it is asking the device. It is router. What is the name of the first device that responded to second ARP? Router, right? Hey, computer 2, I am router. Computer, okay. Send another ping request. Did it require new ARP requests? No, right? Then Nmap host discovering using ARP. So it is critical to avoid wasting time port scanning an offline host or an IP address that is not in use, since it is important to know which hosts are operational, okay, like online. When no host discovery options are available, Nmap uses the following method. Like when a privileged user tries to scan networks on a local network, Nmap uses ARP request. So these are the methods. Just read. This means that there are significant distinctions between having a privileged and unprivileged user in the terminal box, since the processes are like different. It's worth nothing that Nmap by default uses a ping scan to find live host, then proceeds to scan live host only. So following the ARP scan is only feasible if you are on the same subnet as the target systems. The MAC address is required for the link layer header, which includes the source and destination MAC addresses among other data. The OS sends an ARP query. Okay. So we just go through that and so when we talk basically about Nmap host discovery using ARP, so Nmap is a very powerful networking scanning tool, right? This allows you to discover hosts and gather information about them. So one of the host discovery method used by Nmap is ARP scanning. So ARP is the protocol used to map IP address to MAC address. Okay. So to perform the host discovery using ARP with Nmap, you can just use the command like Nmap hyphen PR and then targets. Okay. You can just do the like a command here. And the next one is Nmap host discovery using ICMP. So to perform host discovery using ICMP, like Internet Control Protocol with Nmap, you can use the -SN like ping scan option. This option instructs Nmap to send ICMP echo host like request to the target host and determine if they are online or not. So example of this will be like Nmap -SN, then IP address and the range. Okay, you can just follow these, and you can just replace the target IP with the like exact IP address. Okay, and you just go through that, and the next one is Nmap host discovery using TCMP and TCP and UDP. So TCP send ping like this also like Nmap also supports TCP and UDP host discovery, and like TCP host discovery to perform this Nmap uses a technique called TCP send scanning, also known as half open scanning. Okay, so it sends SYN packet to the target host here, and analyzes the response to determine if the ports are open or not. Okay, so to do this, you just do Nmap -SN and then the target. Okay, and when we talk about the UDP, UDP. So UDP host discovery is a bit like trickier because UDP is connectionless and host may not respond to UDP packets even if they are online. And Nmap uses a technique called UDP scanning to discover hosts on UDP ports. And the command is nmap pn and -SN and then the target. Okay. You just practice. Okay, I'm not like doing all the exercises. I'm just explaining. And also I'm explaining in a very brief. Okay, so that it is not that much long. So now the next one is using reverse DNS lookup. So reverse DNS lookup, also known as the reverse DNS resolution, or we can say reverse DNS search, is a process that involves like looking up the domain name associated with a given IP address. This process is the opposite of the traditional DNS lookup, where you provide a domain name and it obtains its corresponding IP address. So to perform a reverse DNS lookup, you can follow the steps like determine the IP address for which you want to find the domain name. Make sure you have the correct IP address. Okay. Then use the appropriate method or tool to perform the reverse DNS lookup. There are several commands like command line tool like ns lookup, host. Okay. Then analyze the result. Okay. And in the summary, just go through that. It is given the same thing. So in this, the important one will be protocols and servers, the port scanning are like similar, the various methods, you just go through that. And in the protocols and servers, there are various protocols, right? HTTP, FTP, POP3, SMTP, IAMAP. This is for surfing, FTP for file transfer, POP for I think POP3 is for mail. No, SMTP is for mail. Yeah, and POP3. Okay, post office protocol. Okay, yeah. So this is like POP3 is the internet standard protocol for receiving emails. Okay. So telnet, I have like given you a brief, and HTTP I will just say. So HTTP protocol. Okay. HTTP, that is a hypertext or transfer protocol, is an application layer protocol which is used for transmitting data over the internet. It is the foundation of data communication for the World Wide Web and is widely used for retrieving and transferring like resources such as HTML documents, images, videos, and many more between web servers and the clients. Okay. Some key aspects of HTTP we can say is client server model, then it is request response cycle, and then it is the startless protocol and HTTP methods. Okay, like get, post, put, delete, patch. We have learned it about that, right? So just go through this and you just find it. And next one we'll just see it is FTP protocol, that is file transfer protocol. So file transfer protocol was developed to make the transfer of the files between different computers with different systems efficient. So this is like a protocol. This protocol is basically used for transferring files between a client and a server over the TCP/IP network, such as the internet. Okay, it provides a reliable and efficient method for uploading, downloading, and managing files on remote server. It also basically follows the client server architecture, then control and data connections. Okay. So here also telnet comes in use. Okay. So here, as I was saying, like using an FTP client, connect to VM and try to recover the flag. Okay. So the username and password are given. What you have to do, like you have to just write FTP and then the machine IP. Okay, the IP address, and then it will ask like I think the username and the password right here, name and the password, and then you can just log in and by like various Linux command like ls then cat, you can just try to find the flag. Okay, and the next one is SMTP. Okay, so SMTP is simple mail transfer protocol. So this is a standard protocol which is used for sending and delivering like mail email messages over the internet. It is a primary protocol responsible for the transmission of like email between mail servers, and it also follows the client server model, and this is used for like message transfer. SMTP commands are like hello, then mail from, receipt to, data quit. Okay, so you're using the attack box terminal, connect to SMTP port to the target machine. What is a flag? So yeah, what you have to do like telnet and then the machine IP, and then the SMTP port, okay, and the port address of SMTP is 25. You just write here 25. It will ask for like yeah, and then it will like the commands are hello, okay, hello, recept, data. These are the like commands, okay. So just try this also. And next one is our POP3. POP3 is a post office protocol version, is an intermediate standard protocol used for retrieving like email from a mail server to a local email client. It is one of the most commonly used protocols for downloading email messages. Okay, so the here connect to the VM at the POP3 port. The port number of POP3 is 110. Okay, just try this, and username is Frank and password is given this. And what is the response you get to the stat? So what you will do, just this is the we can say method like telnet, and then the machine IP, and then the port is 110. Now you just it will ask for the username and then the password, and what you will get the stat value, you just write it here. Okay, yeah, it's easy, you just do it. And how many email messages are available to download via POP3 on machine IP? You just check it. Okay, like the mails. Okay, and now the IMAP. Yeah, internet message access protocol. This is the like more sophisticated than POP3. This is also used for retrieving and managing email messages from a mail server. It provides more advanced and feature like rich approach. IMAP, you need to configure your email client server. The main difference is that. And what is the default like IP, sorry, port number of IMAP? So the default port number is 143. Okay, and you just go through the summary. And we'll just move forward because in the vulnerability research, so like vulnerabilities are the flaws, right, and the weaknesses which can be used to exploit the we can say uh, machines, right? So here it is written like vulnerabilities of cybersecurity. In cybersecurity is defined as a weakness or flaw. As I told you, weakness or flaw in software systems, or we can say networks, that can be exploited by attackers to compromise the security and gain unauthorized access, then cause damage or disrupt normal operations. Okay. Some common types of vulnerabilities are like software vulnerabilities, like buffer overflow, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, remote or code execution. So you just read through this. And scoring vulnerabilities. So the common vulnerability scoring are like rating are none, score is 0, low 0.1. Okay, these are the critical. Okay, advantages and disadvantages, and vulnerability priority or rating. So you can just go through that, and in the databases you can just view in the exploit DB all the vulnerabilities. Okay, which are the vulnerabilities which were found, reported, proof of concept. You can just go through that everything. Okay, it's not much more in this here. Example is given. Okay, and here you can just practice this. Okay, these are not much hard modules. We'll just move in the Metasploit. Okay, So Metasploit, Metasploit is the most widely used exploitation framework. This is a popular tool that can support all phases of a penetration testing. Okay, so this provides tools and resources for discovering and exploiting vulnerabilities in network systems and application. It is an open source project maintained by Rapid7 and offers both a command line interface and a graphical user interface. This the main thing are like the features we can say. Exploit modules, like Metasploit provides a vast collection of exploit modules that target specific vulnerabilities. Okay, and the main components of Metasploit is like MSF console. This is the like command like terminal. Okay, and the auxiliaries are like these are the different auxiliaries like directories and encoders. This will allow us to encode the exploit and like payload in the hope and evasion. While encoders will encoders encode the payload, right? But on the other hand, evasion modules will try to like with more or less success to encode. Okay, and the exploits, these are neatly organized by target systems. Okay, so you can just view all these things. And then MSF console, this is the, like as I told you, MSF console is the terminal of Metasploit. And how to open MSF console, I will just tell you. You can just write MSF console and the terminal will be open. And it is the same commands are there, ls help.txt. Okay, there are multiple commands. You can just go through these. Okay, the same commands are there, info, like the Linux commands. Okay, the modules. Okay, you can just launch the target machine and you can just view here. So currently we are inside the root and then MSF console. Okay, with the MSF console, and we are inside the MSF console. So you can just write MSF 6 exploit, and now we are inside the meter reader prompt. Okay, so you can just write show options to show all the like options, our host, our port. We can just set these or every like names. Okay, so if you want to like set the R host to the like IP address, you can just set it here. But set R host in the IP address. Okay, and if you want to like show options is to like set the show the options and unset all, which means it will just refresh it. Okay, and then use exploit Windows SMB or MSF MS1701 external blue. So here no payload is configured, and then back here the payloads are being used. Okay, then how we can just use the modules? So here hyphen exploit hyphen z command will run the exploit and background the like session. This is the parameter. Okay, and background command is to like check the session prompt which is running on the background. Okay, and controls z to like go into the background session. And sessions command is used to check all the running sessions. Sessions I are used to check the desired number, like session hyphen 2 or something. Okay, so you can just go through that. So as I gave you the introduction, MSF Venom, we are like we like generate payloads with MSF Venom, and how to start the meter session on most target platforms. Okay, so these are used to create the payloads. Okay, MSF Venom, and obtain a meter session. So just start the attack box and run the Metasploit and with the using MSF console command. Then how to scan? Okay, so you can just type search port scan, okay, to search all the like ports and the, we can say, modules here. These are the modules, 7 modules. So like if you open like if you enter any of the like we can say module, okay, you just enter here any of the modules. So when you just write show options, you can just see these like options like concurrency, ports, rhost, and threads. So concurrency is the number of targets to be scanned, ports are the port, okay, and rhost are the target or targeted network. Threads are like how many like threads are there, the number of concurrent threads, okay, like max 1 per host. Then UDP service identification, this is the module, these are the modules, okay. SMB scans, okay. And then we can see the databases also. There are multiple databases here. Workspace, like default is track me. You can just switch to the workspace also, okay. Like DB hyphen Nmap, this is the like database. You can just create database also, and you can just switch between these databases. You can use these commands to like switch between these databases. And here the net bias, this is for like looking the net bias assistant, okay. Then how to scan the vulnerability? So Metasploit allows you to quickly identify some critical vulnerabilities that could be considered as low hanging fruit. So you can just with the use command, you can just use any of the module, okay. And then you can just search the info, and you can just get all the information here. As you can see, the VNS login module can help us find login details for VNS. Who wrote the module that allows us to check SMTP servers for open relay? In the information, you can just get these answers, okay. And exploitation, this is not much hard. You can just read once and you will just understand it here, okay. And the commands are very much easier. As I told you, like show options is for viewing all the options. So payloads is for listing all the commands and sorry, listing all the specific exploits, okay. Modules, set payload is for like make choices. So options, as I told you, to show the results. So these are some of the thing you can just see. So the next thing is MSF Venom. So MSF Venom is a command line tool within the Metasploit framework, okay, that is used to generate and manipulate various types of payloads. It allows security professionals and pen testers to create custom malicious code, often referred to as shell code or payloads, for use in exploits and post-exploitation activities. Some of the common features are like payload generation, encoding and obfuscation, payload customization. So there are multiple things you can just do with the payloads in MSF Venom, okay. Just go through that and the summary, okay. And then privilege escalation, like what is the shell? Shell is basically the terminal, okay. Like this allows us to interact with an operating system or execute commands. It serves as a user interface to access and control the underlying system resources. And we can say a cell provides a text-based environments where users can type commands and receive text-based output in resource response, right? It interprets user commands. So this is similar as the terminal, okay? Various tools are Netcat, SOCAT, Metasploit, MSF Venom. And types of shell, when we say there are two types of shell, reverse shell and then bind shell, right? So when we talk about the reverse shell, so reverse shell are when the target is forced to execute code that connects back to your computer, like this is used in network security and penetration testing, where an attacker or pen tester establishes a connection from compromised target machine to their own machine. Okay, and bind shells, these are when the code executes on the target is used to start a listener attached to shell directly on the internet. There are multiple things here. And the next one is netcat. I told you about the netcat, right? I'll just tell you about socat. So cat is a command line utility that provides a powerful and we can say flexible way to establish bidirectional data streams between two endpoints. It can be used to create various types of connections such as TCP/IP connections, SSL/TLS connections, the UDP connections, and many more. Okay, some of the key features we can say data transfer and redirection. So these are the fundamentally different like through netcat, but these are the same. Okay, these are the tools. So cat, and then MSFNM I told you, Metasploit also I told you. Just try these steps, okay? There's nothing more interesting here. So you can just try the Linux privilege escalation and Windows privilege escalation, okay? So we have covered the introduction to cybersecurity, pre-security, and junior penetration tester. And now I think we'll just cover the complete beginner path. This is the easiest one. You just try this. We will not do this. Red teaming will do, okay. So cybersecurity is a constant race between white hat hackers and black hat hackers. As threats in the cyber world evolve, so does the need for a more specialized services that allows companies to prepare for real attacks the best they can. Okay, so the objective is to learn about the basics of red teaming engagements, identify the main components and stakeholders, understand the main differences between red teaming. Okay, so vulnerability assessment and pen testing, penetration test. So this is vulnerability assessment. Okay, just a second. So here, this basically elaborates on like difference between penetration testing and vulnerability assessment and red teaming engagements. Okay, so furthermore, it goes on talk about the constants of penetration. Okay, so I will just tell you what is vulnerability assessment. And so this is the simplest form of security assessment, and its main objective is to identify as many vulnerabilities in a system. So this is a systematic process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating security vulnerabilities in computer systems, networks, applications, and infrastructure. It aims to assess the security posture of an organization by identifying weaknesses that could potentially be exploited by attackers. Okay, so here the steps are like planning, gathering information, vulnerability scanning, vulnerability assessment, and manual testing. And the next one is penetration test. So on the top, on the top of scanning every single host for vulnerabilities, we often need to understand how they impact our network as a whole. So a penetration test, also known as the pen test or ethical hacking, this is controlled and authorized simulation of a real-world cyber attack on a cyber space, network, application, or infrastructure. The purpose of penetration test is to identify security vulnerabilities and then assess the effectiveness of security controls in order to improve the overall security posture. Okay, so just go through these questions and red team engagements. So like to keep up with the emerging threats, red team engagements were designed to shift the focus from regular penetration test into a process that allows us to clearly see our like defensive team's capabilities. So red team engagements, also known as the red teaming, involve simulation realistic cyber attacks on an organization system, network, or infrastructure. Red teaming goes behind like beyond traditional penetration testing by taking a holistic and adversarial approach to assess an organization's security defenses and response like capabilities. Okay, like there are several attack services like technical infrastructure and social engineering and physical intrusion. Okay, and depending on the resource available, the red team exercise can be done in several ways, like full engagement, and assumed breach, and tabletop exercise. Okay. Like teams and functions of an engagement are like red teams are red cell, blue cell, white cell. So red cell is the component that makes up the offensive portion of a red team engagement, and blue team is the opposite side of red. White are like this serves as the referee between red cell activities and blue cell responses. Okay, and like the team members are red team lead, red team assistant, and red team operator. Team lead plans and organizes engagements at the high level, and assistant lead assists the team lead in overseeing engagement operations and operators, and red team operator executes assignments. Okay, and then engagement structure. Here you can just see techniques are like reconnaissance to like obtain information. Examples are like harvesting emails, OSINT. Weaponization means like combining the objective with an exploit. Delivery means like weaponized like method is like delivered to the target system. The exploitation, like target system is exploited with the executed code. Installation, which means like installing malware or other tooling. Then command and control, like controlling all this like assets. Okay. So all the things we have discussed come together when performing a red team engagement to better understand how the components stakeholder interact. You can just go in the view site. Okay. Then red teaming engagements. The key to successful engagement is well coordinated planning and communication through all parties involved. So red team engagements come in many varieties, including tabletop exercises, then adversary emulation, and then physical assessment. Okay. So what we'll learn here, like understand the components and functions of red team engagement. We will just learn how to properly plan an engagement based on needs and resources available, and we'll just understand how to write engagement documentation in accordance to like client objectives. Okay, and then just a second. And then defining scope and objectives. So engagements can be very complex and bureaucratic. Without clear and concrete objectives and expectations, you are preparing for very unstructured and unplanned campaigns, right? So when assessing a client's objective and planning the engagement details, you must need to decide how the assessment is focused. Okay, engagements can be categorized between like general internal network penetration test or focused adversarial emulation. So focused adversary emulation will define a specific APD or group to emulate within an engagement, and this specifies how the approach will be dependent on the case, and client objective will also affect the engagement's general rule. Okay, so here the scope, client scope must be like no exfiltration of data, production servers are off limits, then this is out of scope, this is out of scope, system downtime is not permitted under any circumstances, exfiltration of PII is prohibited, personal information. Okay, so the rules of the engagement are like rules of engagement ROE are legally binding outline of the client objectives and scope with further details of engagement expectation between both the parties. This is the first official document in the engagement planning process, and this requires proper authorization between the client and the red team. This document often act as a general contract between the two parties and or other NDAs like non-disclosure agreement. So the format and writing of ROE are like critical. Okay, so the section names must be like these are the section names. Some details are given here, and campaign planning. So prior to this task, we have primarily focused on engagement planning and documentation from the business perspective. Campaigning planning uses the information required and planned for the from the like client objectives and ROE and applies it to various plans and documents. So type of plan are like engagement plan, operations plan, mission plan, remediation plan. Okay, and engagement documentation, how to make the documentation, the concept of operation and resource plan must be there. So in the operations plan, the components are like personal information of employee, stopping conditions, how and why should the red team stop during the engagement, ROI is optional, and technical requirements like what knowledge will the red team need to be successful. And the mission planning, command playbooks like these are optional. So execution times like time to begin stages of engagement, the responsibilities like who does what, and the report. Okay, and the concept of operation, that the concept of operation is the part of the engagement plan that details a high level overview of the proceedings of an engagement. We can compare this to an executive summary of a penetration test report. The document will serve as a business client reference and reference for the red cell to build off and extend to further campaign plans. Okay, so this must include the concept of operation like client name, server provider, time frame, general objectives, then frameworks and other training objectives, high level tools, techniques, and thread group to emulate. Okay, so just to answer the questions. And then resource planning, the resource plan is the second document of the engagement plan. This is the detailing of like brief overview of the dates, knowledge required, resource requirements, and this contains header like this here the personal writing are there, dates, customer, and then engagement dates like recognition dates like what was the date for capturing the information, then initial compromise dates, then post exploitation and persistent states, then MySec dates. Okay, these are various dates and knowledge required. Like you have to just write the like overview of all the things like reconnaissance, initial compromise, post exploitation, and then resource requirements, like from where you just got the resources. Okay, and operation plan. The operation plan is a flexible document that provides a specific details of an engagement and actions occurring. The plan expands upon the current concept of operation and should include a majority of specific engagement information. So this operation plan contains header, halting, stopping conditions, like why will they stop the case, the required and assigned personnel, specific TTPs and attack plan, communication plan, and rules of engagement. Okay. So below is a list of possible options a team will choose, like Vertigo, work, Vector.io, and email, Slack. Okay. Mission plan. The mission plan is a cell-specific document that details the exact actions to be completed by operators. The document uses information from previous plans and assigns actions to them. How the document is written and detailed will depend on the team. And this contains objectives, operators, exploit attacks, targets, and then the execution plan variations. Okay, the two plans can be thought of similarly. The operations plan should be considered from a business and the client perspective, and the mission plan should be thought of from an operator. Okay. So this was all about how we can just create the rule of rule, then concepts, everything. Okay. We'll just move into okay. So command and control framework structure. Okay. So command and control refers to the infrastructure mechanism used by the red team to remotely control the compromised systems or simulate the activities of real-world adversary during an engagement. It allows the red team to maintain communication, issue commands, and manage the operations while evaluating an attacker. Some of the key aspects of command and control in red team engagements are like infrastructure setup, implant deployment, beaconing and callbacks, then command execution, and then data exfiltration, traffic obfuscation. Okay, so like red teams may employ various techniques to obfuscate the command and control traffic and make it harder to detect or analyze by defensive security measures, encryption, tunneling through legitimate protocols, or using steganography to hide commands in seemingly unconscious data are examples of techniques. So it is crucial to know that all the red team operation must be conducted within a legal and authorized framework. Proper permissions and agreements should be in the place to ensure that the red team activities do not violate any laws and policies. Okay. And common control problem frameworks are okay. There are several common commands and control framework used in red team operations and offensive security assessment. These frameworks provide infrastructure and tools to stimulate the, we can say, activities of real world adversaries and remotely control compromised systems. So some of the common are like free and premium. Like free one are Metasploitable framework. Like Metasploit is a widely used open source framework that provides a range of tools and modules for penetration, testing, and exploitation. It includes a versatile like command and control framework called Metapreter that allows for remote control and post exploitation activities on compromised systems. And then Armitage. This is the extension of the Metasploit framework. Okay, it adds a graphical user interface and is written in JavaScript to the Metasploit. And PowerShell and Empire Starkiller is another incredible popular the command and control originally created by this Harmjoy, Sixdub, and Enigma 0x3 from Boris Group. Currently, the project has been discontinued and has been picked up by the BC security team. Okay, and then Covenant by Ryan Cobb. You just go through these all these like frameworks. And the next one is Cobalt Strike. So Cobalt Strike is a commercial red teaming and adversary simulation platform. It offers a powerful C2 framework with features like beaconing, payload generations, and team collaboration. Cobalt Strike provides advanced capabilities for post exploitation, lateral movement, and data exfiltration. Okay, and you just go through these and how to set up like C2 framework. So like setting up a command and control framework requires careful planning and consideration of legal and ethical knowledge, right? So here the process is given up of setting up Armitage. Okay, like these are the commands. Just copy these commands and you can just do the thing. Okay, so the steps to set up C2 framework may vary depending on the specific framework chosen, right? You can just practice this. Okay. Okay, I think this will cover the next class. Okay. Yeah.